Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name's TechBan. Welcome back once again to Order and Chaos by Tatsuo, Chapter 5, Shadows of the Day. Discord once again managed to get ahead of his dad when it came to his explorations. While he understood wanting to keep track of him, he loved breaking the rules too much. However, he did go as far as to leave a trail for his dad to follow, so he wouldn't worry about him. He was pretty sure the rainbow-colored silly string that sang off key would catch his dad's attention as being different enough as to be at the trail. He wasn't sure where he was now, but the skies were colored violet with the sunset, seeming to be in every direction simultaneously. He found himself gliding over gardens filled with roses of every color imaginable, arranged in a beautiful collage from above. What it was a collage of exactly seemed to shape from moment to moment, but it was breathtakingly beautiful, especially surrounded, as it was, by musical waterfalls cascading into the infinite. Here and there, creatures resembling harpies, but looking much more lethal, flew here and there, carrying messages and other things, seeming to roost in a massive city of solid silver in the exact center of the massive gardens, surrounded by a palace made entirely of roses. The air was heavy with the scent of flowers, lulling Discord into a drowsy state as he started to float downward. Something below caught his eye, bringing his mind back into focus as he flowed downward to investigate. He saw 3 women sitting around a blanket, covered with various dishes, and in the exact center of a clearing amongst the roses. One was a golden woman who seemed to be made of light, and gave an impression of being winged, despite the total absence of wings. The second, who seemed the most at home here, was a blue-skinned woman garbed in a gown made of stardust and wearing a crown of roses. The third was garbed completely in shadows, no details visible beneath, seeming to exude an aura of mystery. As he approached, he heard them speaking. "You're right, Azura," the golden woman said to the blue. "This is definitely the perfect place for a picnic." "See, I told you, Merida," the blue woman, Azura apparently, responded playfully. She then turned to the shadow woman. "Why didn't you back me up on this, Nocturnal?" "Because someone needs to keep you from getting too full of yourself," she answered flatly, her voice showing absolute emotional control. "Nocturnal, you're my sister, not my mother," Azura snapped teasingly. "And it shows," Nocturnal answered flatly. "How do you two ever manage to get along?" Merida asked in wonder. "Very carefully," the other two said together. Nocturnal with the same controlled tone, with only a hint of resignation, as though she'd said it far too often, and Azura with suppressed myth as though it was some inside joke. While all this struck Discord as mildly interesting, he immediately focused on something that grabbed his attention far more directly. What he'd taken for some sort of fountain in the center of the large picnic basket was actually a gigantic cake! His mouth watered at the sight, and he eagerly drove down, laying completely inside the cake, splattering some towards the 3 women as he began to eat, only managing to penetrate 3 of the 7 layers. "What in Moonshadow?" Azura demanded, shocked. "Did one of your winged twilights drop a message?" Nocturnal asked, a very slight teasing barb in her voice. Discord popped his head back out of the cake, sucking on a strawberry bigger than his head. He found inside the cake as he tried to get off his snaggletooth. Noticing the 3 women staring at him, he realized he may have been a bit presumptuous in his approach. He apologetically held out a pawful of cake. A happy squeal pierced his ears as Azura scooped him up into a snuggle. "He's so adorable," she cried happily. "I've never seen such a unique little creature. Where do you think he came from?" "He looks like he might be one of Shiragora's," Merida spoke up as she gently slipped the strawberry off Discord's snaggletooth, using magical energy to split it into bite-sized pieces to feed him as she picked up a napkin, licking it before wiping the cake off his body. "Seems to have come a long way on his own for one so small. Such a brave little creature you are!" Discord cooed happily at the mothering approach. "You really shouldn't be so precipitous, though," Nocturnal chided, pulling Discord from the pair's shared grip and plunking him down in a bird bath, gently scrubbing him clean. "If you want cake so bad, you should ask for it." "Don't you think you're being just a bit harsh, Nocturnal?" Merida asked as she came over to assist with the clean. "He's just a little guy." "Yeah," Azura agreed. "And you can't tell me you never considered swimming in a cake bigger than you. Heck, if this cake were big enough, I'd jump right in with him." One of us needs to enforce proper discipline, sister, Nocturnal chided, the movement of her head under the shells indicating she was rolling her eyes. Giggling, Discord snapped his talons at the cake, and it expanded until it was as large relative to Azura as it had been to Discord a moment ago. The bottom layer now the size of a lake and just as deep. Banzai! Azura cried out as she threw off her dress of starlight and cannonballed into the cake, causing the center pool of wine to fountain upwards. Oh, nice touch. And even fresh enough that you could have a taste, little guy. Seriously, Azura? Merida asked ruefully as Discord leapt out of the bird bath into the cake tub filled with wine. Have you no self-control? My realm, my rules. And I say it's time to make this really fun. Azura countered, blowing and throwing a raspberry at Medea. Now take off your mantle and relax. I'm not wearing my mantle, Merida pointed out with a frown. Then take off something else and get in here already, Azura called out, throwing out a lasso of magic and yanking Merida into the cake lake with a yelp. Nocturnal rolled her eyes. You know, Sheogorath's probably somewhere nearby looking for him. Da-da! Discord confirmed happily. Especially as this is apparently his son, Nocturnal pointed out, and if he leaves his rope behind when he shows up like we have, I'll let him join us in here and try his luck giving this little guy a brother. Azura teased back, flaunting herself. Azura! Merida gasped out, her golden cheeks turning bronze in embarrassment. Don't even try to tell me this little guy hasn't set your clock ticking, Mary, Azura teased playfully. And you know the crazy are best in bed. Minor headphone warning. I'm just putting this in here in advance. Cowabunga Looney Tunes! Sheogorath cried out as he streaked across the garden, flipping several times in midair before diving into the wine lake. Giggling, Discord snapped his talons, conjuring a large, wide-brimmed pink hat covered in gems and purple feathers onto his head, with matching dark purple shades over his eyes and a blowpipe in his mouth. Nocturnal put her hand to her face, shaking her head as she stared at Discord. I'm going to have my hands full teaching you any sort of discipline, aren't I? She asked ruefully. Discord blew her a raspberry, having recognized her tone that she didn't sound displeased with the notion. For those who can't guess, I've been waiting to do that Cowabunga Looney Tunes lines for ages. I do apologize if that one got a little too loud. I promise there aren't any other major shouts like that in the story, but I just had to do that one justice. And since I know Tatsuro watches all these, sorry, mate.